it now forces us to say, what are we going to do about it? Our platform is Be the Power. And the statement or the motto of our platform is don't just fight the power, become the power. And then you'll have the power to make a change. My thing is, it's not about Trump or the Republicans. It's not about Biden, Harris, or the Democrats. It's about what are we going to do as a people to become politically active and take control of our political destiny with our own hands. And that's where we're at with it.
100%, brother. 100%. Yeah, that is the embodiment of your organization. Be the Power. It's not enough to complain about. It's not enough to know there's a problem. Okay, you see some spilt milk on the floor, you're just gonna look at it. We got to do something about it, no question. What do you suggest, brother, as a nation we need to focus on in 2025?
Well, one of the strategies, and I know this is not an easy strategy, but one of the strategies that we propose at Be the Power and United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen is what we're calling the Back South strategy. And with the Back South strategy, what we are asking our people to do is move back to the South.
Come on back home.
That's right. Our numbers are greatest in the South. If you were to pull up a heat map of where freedmen, quote unquote, black / African Americans are situated the most in this country, the heat map is going to show that dark cluster in the Southeast.
Yes.
And we need our people back in Georgia, in South Carolina, in North Carolina, in Alabama, in Mississippi, because Louisiana, these are where our numbers are the strongest. If 22% of our people moved back to these states, we would have, and spread out obviously, we would have a 51% plus, I should say, majority in each of these states.
Please, hold on.
In this way,
please repeat that one more time, brother. Please.
We would have a 51% majority, right? So if 22, it's about 66% of our people situated right now in the South. That leaves about 44% of us outside of these, our ancestral states. But if 22%, not even everybody, if just half of those that are outside of the 9 states we're proposing, and specifically those 5 states that I named, just came back to the South, we would have a 51% majority in those states. This way, we would be in control over the state house, the state's Congress, right? Meaning its assembly with its House members and its state senators. This way, we would be in control over the governor's office, which essentially serves as the presidential office over each state. This is what the governor's office is. It's the president. Each state has its own president, and it's called a governor, if you will. We would then have control over the resources that come into each state by, that we get from the federal government. Each state gets federal allocations from this government. In a state like Mississippi, for instance, they took the federal, and when I say they, I mean those whites, they took the monies that was allocated for COVID, they diverted it. The monies that was allocated for the water crisis in Jackson, Mississippi, they diverted it. The monies that was allocated for welfare recipients, the poor in the state of Mississippi, they diverted it. They took that money and gave it to Brett Favre and Ted DiBiase to do speeches and to help build I believe it was a tennis stadium for Brett Favre's daughter. The money that was supposed to go to the poor. Now, if we were in control of these resources, we would disperse those resources to our people.
Exactly.
And let me say, Brother Rashad, this isn't some novel concept that we just sat around and came up with. Charles Blow, super liberal, right? He's a Democrat to the core, wrote a book called The Devil You Know a few years back. We read the book, we dissected the book, we held a book club review of the book on our Be the Power YouTube channel, and then we interviewed Blow. We interviewed him about maybe 2 months afterwards. One of the things that he notes in that book is what's called an active radical federalism.
I'm holding the book up. I know you can't see me, brother. I'm holding the book up right now.
I can't even see. That's crazy.
I'm holding the book up right now. Go ahead, brother.
That's right. Y'all get that book so y'all can understand this concept that I'm speaking to right now. And this active radical federalism means that you would take numbers and flood a state. And there was an article published in Playboy magazine in the 60s. You know, we look at Playboy as, you know, what it is, sex and naked women and stuff. But it was a place for the political voice of the part of America, that hippie, shroom, psychedelic, right?
Yes.
But it was a lot of them.
Articles, and it wasn't just pictures. There were articles in there, no doubt.
That's right. So this guy wrote this article, I can't never remember the name, about radical federalism and how these hippies needed to take over a state. And in the late 60s and early 70s, these hippies started to migrate to the state of Vermont, where they took over that state. This is why Bernie Sanders and Patrick Leahy, I believe it's Patrick Leahy, are some of the longest running congressmen in this country.
Wow.
These are the people that came out of that hippie movement, out of that peace, right? Throwing up the peace sign movement with the flower girls, etc., etc. But they took over that state.
That's right.
This concept should be something that we also think about.